Hey everybody, and welcome back to Viper Magic's channel. This is it. I have done it. I have completed the gauntlet I set forth on myself this last week and a half, beating not just one, just two, not just three, but 4 video games. And I just rolled credits on Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. So this is that review. I don't know what to think about 3. I know that its reception is a little mixed amongst other Uncharted players. I don't think I know Jim had told me before that he thought 3 was too short. And 1, 2, and 3 are all pretty much the same length. 22 chapters, 26, 22. That's kind of about the same. They all took about the same amount of time to beat. Uncharted 3 certainly looks the best out of all of the games in this remastered collection. It is the newest game, most recent, I guess you would say. So it has access to the most technology. It's probably pushing the PS3 technology to the limit. So when you upgrade that to 1080p, 60 frames a second, that helps a lot. Helps everything out a lot. And then also, I was reading some reviews and watching some old video reviews of Uncharted 3 while I was playing this game, and they were saying the aiming was different in this game. So much so that everybody complained and they patched it on the PS3. And then apparently, as a benefit of the remaster, there's the better aiming is on all of these games. Now, I don't know about better aiming. I was kind of getting tired of the Uncharted aiming system. Not really a snap aim, not really a quick aim, but really felt like there was no aim assist at all. So I don't know if you would call it better or anything like that. I think for me, Uncharted 3 suffers from fatigue, in this thing. Not just because I beat them all within a week and a half. I think it suffers from fatigue because Uncharted 3 is basically the same as Uncharted 2. There's not a whole lot different. You still ride in vehicles. The horse sequence was cool, but there wasn't a sequence as if you're going to compare apples to apples. There was no train sequence in this game in Uncharted 3. There were no new mechanics introduced in Uncharted 3. They tried to have this big fight scene in the beginning of the game, and honestly, that fight scene in the bar was one of the worst parts of the game on this remaster because it was the most glitchy. Stuff was glitching around, and people were jumping in, popping out, all that stuff. Uncharted 3 also suffers because it seems like the story was disjointed. The first half of the story, you're with Chloe and Cutter, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and it's, one person gets hurt real bad, but why does Chloe leave? That was never very clear. And then, yet again, in the middle of an Uncharted game, here's Elena. Oh my gosh, big surprise. So, I don't know, it just felt very formulaic. Like, by the time I was playing in the middle of the third one, I knew the Uncharted formula. I mean, it was kind of, you could tell in 2 what the formula was, is like, here's a level where you jump around, here's a level where you climb around, here's a level where people shoot at you, or, you find an artifact, or you find a clue, and surprise, you're a bad guys. And Uncharted 3 had a ton of that. I saw every twist coming. It was like, oh, guess what, there's guys around here, and sure enough, there were. So, I don't know, I think it suffers from fatigue and almost no new ideas. I think they, I don't know the history of it or anything like that, but it feels like maybe they had a contract to do so many games of Uncharted or something for the PS3, and the PS3 couldn't do what they wanted to do for the next game. I have no idea, but it certainly felt samey. So, Uncharted 3, the weakest of the 3 for me, and probably for some of you guys out there. Now, I have The Last of Us Remastered loaded up here on the PS4. I don't think I'm going to start it here. I think I'm going to take a little break. I think I am Naughty Dogged out, as it were. I had told Jim before he had been sold out when he was playing Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne at the same time and trying to beat it. I think I'm Naughty Dogged out for a little while, so I'm going to take a break before I jump into Last of Us. Because how different can it be? It seems like they have their engine they developed for, a long time on PS3. Their engine looks pretty good. And they have their control scheme and the cover system and all this stuff, but how different could it be gameplay-wise? Shooting, fighting, it looks like, from the stuff I've seen of Last of Us, is pretty much the same idea. So what did the Uncharted series do well for me? It certainly did the characters well. I like the characters here, but the gameplay, I still don't think it beats that Tomb Raider game, the first one that came out while, on the original Xbox 360 and then got remastered for the PS4, Xbox One era. I don't think it beats that gameplay-wise. I think there's too much variety in there. That you think back to that. Now, it is a little unfair because that Tomb Raider game came out, after Uncharted 3 probably. So, did they learn from it? But the Uncharted games never found a way for you to climb that really felt real. Everything was a golden ledge or a white ledge, depending on what area of town you were in. It was all clearly marked, whereas I think in the Tomb Raider game, she had her ice pick, and it was more like God of War, where it was like, okay, here's a rock wall you can clearly climb, but there are rope ladders and swings, and their puzzles also felt... I mean, having played 3 games, I still feel like Tomb Raider's a better game, more fleshed out, because everything here, seeing the progression from 1, 2, and 3, almost was like there's really no progression. They figured out how their puzzles work. They, gameplay-wise, they figured out how their shooting works, gameplay-wise. They figured out how to run from stuff, gameplay-wise, and they figured out how to do cutscenes in it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm fatigued, but it certainly felt like Uncharted is a certain type of game where you run, shoot, jump, and climb, where that Tomb Raider game is all the same things, technically. You're hunting for treasure, but you're in a much more open area. There's much more free paths to roam. I think the thing I liked about that Tomb Raider game, too, is there's a lot of stealth. I like the Splinter Cell games. So when they said you could stealth guys in this Uncharted 3 game, I tried to do it, and every single time after like the first or second guy, somebody turned around or, saw me. And I don't remember with that Tomb Raider game, but I don't know if there's a way to like crouch, but I really wanted a crouch button in this Uncharted 3 game. Like, would it be so hard for you to push in one of these R buttons and and crouch so these a little less noticeable? Because basically he's walking up behind guys or running behind them. So I felt that was a little, like not enough effort was put forth in that system. The fights always felt kind of boring. Really quick timey. Oh, here's a counter button. You better press it or else nothing else happens. If you jump back, you jump out of combat, you can't like shoot the guy real easily. It's more free fire, and then you jump back in, and it starts with the same animations. You punch, this guy moves, you hit him 3 or 4 times. This game definitely had like the big brute guys that you fought for an extended amount of time, and they were definitely like the same every time. Every time one of those guys showed up, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. So to say that their combat was better than some other games is definitely not. I mean, it's no Batman. It's hard to be a Batman combat engine. And certainly, I think it lends itself to a certain type of game. Maybe not this linear one, but I'm kind of like, where did all their code go? If it's a very linear game, very limited combat abilities, very limited shooting abilities, the aim was way off. It's almost like they, I know there were multiplayers on the original versions of these on the PS3, but I would not want to play a multiplayer with that. It just didn't seem very fun in terms of shooting wise, because the shooting got tiring really quick. I don't know that you could ever say that with like Gears of War or a different cover shooter, but the shooting in Uncharted definitely felt very slow. You know, there were times in this game where I was ready to be done, honestly. So I guess that's my commentary on the Uncharted trilogy, more so than my review of Uncharted 3. But it's definitely the weakest in all of them. But I think if you played Uncharted 3 first, I don't think you would necessarily think so little of it the way that I am right now. I definitely think it hurts from being the third game and you playing 1, 2, and 3 in succession in that order. But if you just played Uncharted 3 for the first time ever, as your first Uncharted game, I think you'd be okay. You'd like it. The characters are likable enough. All the systems are fleshed out. Going backwards might hurt you a little bit, but, it's not to say that Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception is a bad game. It's just not the best game, and it definitely shows some fatigue. So, anyway, let me know what you guys thought of Uncharted 3 back when you played it. Am I a fool for thinking the things I do about the Uncharted games? At the end of the day, I see how Naughty Dog got a great reputation as a studio, but I don't think they earned it after playing these 3 games so far. They're definitely good games. I don't think that they're fantastic games. They're definitely good, borderline great. Uncharted 2 was really good, but I don't think they earned their silver platinum trophy, with Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Maybe it comes later on, but anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Hope you guys enjoyed these videos, and keep watching the Viper Magic's channel. Say hello to Jim for me, and as always, we will see you guys on the other side.